Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 240 of Fans of Power. I am Joe Amato, and I'm here with my partners in crime, Tyler T-Rex Baker and Nasty Nate Nathan Kennedy. What is going on, gentlemen?
I'll let Tyler go first.
Oh, I was just being polite and letting Nathan go. Ready to dig into just real ball-busting discussions tonight. And I owe Joe an apology. I finally sat down and started watching Dungeons and Dragons.
Holy shit!
Oh, okay.
The animated series. And I'm like, oh my god! Like, I wish I had listened to Joe when he was on my ass. Like, you gotta watch it. You gotta give it a shot, dude. And I was like, yeah, whatever, kid. And I just finally had just kind of got this like germ of like I should just look up some clips on YouTube just to see what it looks like. And because I watched part of an episode as a kid one time. It was actually recorded on our Christmas VHS by accident. But I watched the first, and they're all available on YouTube. And I've watched 5 episodes so far. I'm like, oh my god! By the 3rd episode, I was like, I want to buy the whole series, like on DVD. This set needs to be in my collection. I'm like, so I must apologize to Joe publicly because I should have listened a long time ago. Because son of a bitch, that show's a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. That makes me feel real good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Actually, I got chills when you were talking, when you were saying that. It really did, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love Bobby and Diana and Hank the most. Like, I just have a Bobby especially. God, he's just, for them to write a child character like that could have been abysmally bad. And God, he steals every scene he's in. He's so well written and so likable.
Yeah.
And I just love the character to death. And Avenger's a great villain too. I love the backgrounds. Like a lot of the action sequences and the like the various forests and old castles, like it just looks so
beautifully drawn and animated. Yeah, definitely.
I just I could see like He-Man action sequences taking place on this. So I'm so ashamed that I never gave this show the chance that it deserves. So apologies, cool. Joe.
Hey, no apologies needed, man, but I'm just so glad you watched it, enjoyed it, and then, like you said, you'll be watching up the rest of them, but that's cool. I like hearing that. So.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
There'll probably be a Facebook cover photo at some point. Nathan can bust my balls off. I guess I know what Tyler's watching this week.
Exactly. I still need to watch that show, too, actually, so, whoops.
Oh, yeah.
But I wasn't over here taking a big old dump on it, so I won't need
I wasn't either.
I won't need
I just told Joe, I was just like, I just saw it was there, and I was kind of indifferent to it. It wasn't a show that I shit on or anything like that, but just not interested. To me, one thing I think, to me as a kid, it wasn't interesting me because the heroes didn't have muscles. And when I saw it on CBS on Saturday morning, I'm like, it wasn't He-Man. Like, they were just regular-looking people to me. So if you didn't have muscles and a sword, it was hard to pull my attention in a lot of times with animated shows. So,
but also what they showed with it was a great cartoon that could be done with younger kids and real young kids, and a diverse cast of characters where it worked beautifully and perfectly, which we'll be getting to something here in a second. Trust me, we got some really great fun topics.
Speaking of diversity.
We're going to get to one thing that, everybody's going to be hearing talking about, things I used to rant about a long time ago, well, a little bit ago, and people's like, oh, come on,
We're going to talk about the angriest folk lesbian, you know.
But we're going to get to it. But first, I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat room. So, Zentron, Gavin the Nerd, David Clark, Brian Davis, Adam Gabbard, Papa Hud 69, Zen Brown, Curtis Ackerman, Masters DC Collector, Grimbot, Carlos, I always miss his last name. You know I do it every time. Andy Yelsey is here. Hey, it's been a while. How you doing, Andy? Aaron Voorhees, and bam, I think I got everybody. If I missed anybody, apologize.
Programming note. Get this out of the way now. This is the last episode I will be here in this house. There will be no episode next week because I will be moving. Finally get to do that. So
congratulations on that too, man.
The following Sunday, which is the 7th, 6th, something like that. What day is that? I don't know. It's the 6th. So we will be back on September 6th. So no episode next week, and I will post that in the groups again, and we'll figure something out. Spread the news. Let them know. No episode next week, but we'll be back the following week. Fingers crossed.
Because, guys, look, we got a shitload of episodes that I'm sure some of you have never watched. So if you need to get your fix next week, do us a favor and go back and through our old library of episodes. Whether you download it or watch it on YouTube, come on, man. Boost them up here, people.
And
there you go.
Was there... we could probably save something else for later on the show. Oh, and before Joe gets into this, because this was a discussion.
Are you going to bring up something sad? I thought you were going to bring up something sad.
I mean, if you guys want to talk about that real quick,
because it's horrible.
We can. Chadwick Boseman, who played Black Panther, passed away, and kind of unexpectedly. He had a video, I think, on his Instagram back in April, and people noticed that he was noticeably thinner. But it turns out he had been battling colon cancer this entire time, his entire run of being Black Panther. It was stage 3 and then progressed to stage 4, and for him to go through that and do what he did through all those movies, and for no one to even know about it, that we know of, publicly anyway.
That's a testament.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's just a testament to that man and his character and what he did to try to entertain people. You know, there's a lot of people that go through a lot of stuff, bad and good things, that like to always publicly post it all the time. Yeah. And he didn't do any of that. I believe in my mind and in my heart, he wanted to let fans look at a character, a superhero, of somebody to believe in, and not have his, issues, like you said, of what he was going through out there for the public to, maybe he'd think, I wouldn't want people to pity me or think anything else. And for him to, that's hard to keep something like that private, but to give somebody, the whole world, a hero to believe in, I mean, what an amazing man, but God, so sad. It's unbelievable. Just it's stuff like we always say, you hear it and it's like, God, this can't be real.
When I saw that, because I was on Twitter and this was like right as it was happening. Like I saw a post immediately, you see the trending thing, and I looked at it and I was like, wait, what? And then your heart kind of just like stops for a second and you're just like, wow, okay. I didn't even know. And apparently no one else did either. And it's one thing for him to have gone through that and not said anything, and also like just what he did as a whole. And I don't want this to, because I was thinking about it in my head, I don't want this to like sound wrong, and maybe it won't at all, but for what he did with Black Panther, and he also played Jackie Robinson and James Brown, what he did in cinema for the African American community, because there were a lot of little kids that were getting Black Panther costumes that finally felt that they had like superhero representation, that they were actually, it's something tangible that in the cinematic universe that they could watch and really cling to. So he meant a lot to a lot of people, and it's a damn shame that he's gone.
Yeah, it was like a punch in the head to me, because I was barely awake when I saw Nathan's post. That was the first thing I saw about it, and it was shockingly and nauseating to hear it. I mean, there's been a few people that passed away this year, Kobe Bryant especially, where you just you just can't process it. You're just kind of sad every day, and but it's awesome that people have. I told Nathan, I said I could see him reaching legendary status because of Black Panther's popularity and him bringing that to the forefront to the general public who really didn't know much about Black Panther, whether you are whatever ethnicity you are, especially with children. Definitely another legendary role model for kids, and it was just I absolutely hate it for the Black community as of recently with the shootings, what the NBA is going through. This happening, I mean, it's not, but for everybody as well. Like, it's just, God, 2020 just needs to be kicked in the nuts so hard that the nuts come out of the throat. It is just, it's like, damn it, man. Like, when is it going to stop?
Yeah, it's one of those years where it's just like, you never thought it would, like anything would reach this point. Like, it's sad enough that like racial tensions have existed in this country for so long, and yet we're this far. We've advanced so much with technology, and yet we're still just, people are still stuck in that mindset. And I don't want to get too political with it, but I mean, hatred is something that like you're not born that way. You're taught it, you learn it. And it's just shitty people passing it down to make more shitty people.
Let's just
leave
hope
that
things,
as
like
it
you
is,
say,
but-
get better. Yeah, let's just hope things get better, and definitely 2021 will be a better year. But before we get into these good topics, it's going to be speaking of something else. We're going to talk about the Princess of Power community. Now, a few days ago,
Can I stress this too? This was the other thing. Joe and I talked about it, and I was like, this is something I feel like we should talk about, even if briefly, and I will lift the thing that we had in place about if we brought it up, we would do this and this. That's out the window for this specific kind of topic.
yeah, because the first thing is when I start talking, I'm going to want Nathan to pop up a comment about men. But here's the thing. When she first was talking about the She-Ra cartoon, like I said, in a way, the things that angered me is just the way that she, along with everybody working on it, mocked the fans, the original cartoon's animation, art, voice actors. I mean, these were all people that were working on it, and I was like, it's just tasteless to me. But seeing a tweet from her that said, truth is stranger than fiction because human men lack imagination and self-awareness, I was like, okay, we got a sexist person on our mind, or right here for everybody to see, because obviously she hates men. I was like, so that pissed me off from the start. Then she claims to always be about all for diversity. So that would, you'd think include men too. And then what does she do about all these claims of diversity? She shows this picture here of a snowstorm of white women saying, She-Ra, she wrote. Where's anybody of any other color? Where's any men? Nowhere to be seen. Which I told everybody, like, you could tell this woman, obviously, sexist comments, racist connotations right there, which pisses me off, because if you look at the original Filmation people that worked on the cartoon, the writing, the animation, you had people of all races and men and women. Real diversity. This is phony. And then what happened a few days ago? She was doing a live stream talking about the Princess of Power cartoon. Or I'm sorry, Princesses of Power cartoon. I'm not going to, use the real name because we know what the real name means. But Princesses of Power cartoon. And she had all the people that worked on the show, majority of them. And they were talking about Bo's other siblings. Now, remember in the cartoon, her cartoon, Bo is black. So all his siblings, black. This is what makes it sick, what you're going to hear. There was an inside joke with her and the people that did the writing and other people that were drawing stuff out of, like, hey, what was a name? Somebody came to Noel and said, what would be a name for the guy that'd be out in the fields or something who's Bo's brother? And he's like, it's So. Like a slave, somebody out sowing the fields, having this hat and the straw, like he's out there in the fields. And as she said it, you heard one of the people who's working say, oops, and they laughed. Now, here's the other thing about it. She got ripped a new one on Twitter. Even everybody that was in support of her and her cartoon, they were calling her out. Like, what are you talking about? You talk about diversity and you do something like that racist? Then some of the people that were like trying to champion for her said, well, she actually didn't say it. It was somebody else. But here's the thing. Did she condemn it? No, she laughed about it back then. She thought it was something to bring up during the show to laugh about. It shows her nature. So it's like, don't claim you're for diversity, show a snowstorm of white women that write the show, insult men by saying they don't have imagination, and you act like you're for diversity. That pissed me off more than anything. And that's what sucks about her and her cartoon, is a person like her with that much hatred for everybody to go ahead and post that and then try to apologize. Like, no. That's despicable. It's rotten, and it pisses me off because the real He-Man and She-Ra community has always been about diversity, just like I said earlier, and it's always right there, natural. It wasn't forced. It wasn't shoving something in your face. Everybody worked on the cartoon. They had everybody of all races on the cartoon and the mini comics, and it pisses me off when somebody does like that. So sexist and racist shows right there, and she was getting lit up like the fucking 4th of July.
I saw She-Ra trending on Twitter, and I was like, all right, well, what happened? And clicked on it, and it took a while for me to kind of piece together exactly what happened. And I thought that there was something else that happened on that live stream too that kind of people got upset about. But the only real thing I have to say about this is it seems like throughout life, and I'm sure we've all come across this, that those people that either feel like they're holier than thou, feel like they're better than everybody, feel like they have a mission and they have to be vocal about it constantly all the time, are always those kinds of people that just that honestly just don't seem like decent human beings. And that's me putting it nicely. I could be meaner about it, but at this point, there's no sense to, because I saw other people tweeting. It's like, oh, well, we have to cancel this. I'm like, well, the show's already done, so there's not really much in the way to do there.
Oh yeah, and it's not going to come back. There'll be no returning of that. Trust me. And the other thing is, won't be calling out names, but a lot of people in the He-Man community also spoke of when she was at PowerCon.
Oh yeah.
How snarky and mean she was to people, her little clique that she hung out with, and also a whole scenario about her losing her keys. And some of the nicest people in this He-Man community who were trying to help her, she was being snippy and snapping at them. And, they're trying to fucking help you find these keys. You act like an asshole to them. It's like, again, more showing of her character. And that's what everybody was noticing at PowerCon. So pretty much I think everybody knows, and she's been exposed of what kind of person she really is. Somebody that isn't needed. But go ahead.
I know that, I know she's got, like, issues. I know that she has, like, cut herself and stuff. There's, like, a deeper rooted thing going on within her personality, but I guess it all just sort of came to the forefront with achieving this little microcosm of, I guess you would call this fame. I mean, people know who she is, so yeah, I guess I would call that fame. But my point still stands. Like, every time these people that just want to beat you over the head with something, well, I'm this and blah blah blah. When you pull back that curtain, it's like they're shitty. You see the same thing with Ellen. People are like, "Oh, she's such a sweetheart." Now all these people are starting to come out of the woodworks. Like, no, man, she's a jerk. She's a piece of shit. So is what it is. People in the chat are like, karma, bitter hard. I'm like, yeah, I would totally agree with that. It's I honestly don't got nothing else to say about it. Like.
No, that is pretty much it. Like Tyler, I know he said, guys, you go say your thing, because he already said he doesn't really have thoughts on her and that cartoon at all.
No, she's a cunt. I flat out. And I am so sick and tired of people who feel like, well, we can't disagree with this one because she'll think we hate gay people, because it means she's a fucking idiot. If she thinks that she's going to get her bullshit so-called talent over by saying, well, if you don't hire me, or allow me to do what I want, then you obviously hate gay people, that is clearly her mindset here, which is a complete black eye on the lesbian and gay community, that you want people to accept you, because if not, then you get to point the fingers at them and shame them publicly. The whole thing that's fashionable to do today, if you disagree with anybody, then clearly they're a hate monger of some kind. And we all know she was going to turn that show, our beloved She-Ra, into a shit show, and it was. It was just a lesbian love story, which any other time would have been fine. But to take this beloved property and insert her own agenda into it, saying, fuck you to all the fans who had problems with her changes. I mean, for people who just came to her aid and were just defending her left and right, it's like, you cannot.
Would you believe there weren't many? Which, Tyler, that was good.
I'm sure there weren't many, which obviously all they were nothing but human foul balls. A foul ball doesn't count as a real hit, and they don't count either. It's just, I just get tired of people feeling like you can't call people out for bullshit because everyone's afraid of being labeled something that you're not. But it just shows you what kind of a coward she is. That
they're
she
not
has
used
to hide.
to critiques.
Or because they're. I'm like, I'm sorry, but the fact anybody that is openly gay, I'm like, that's wonderful. I am a white man. I don't see any more bigger deal than that. So the fact that this faction of angry women who hate men and obviously dismiss anything that came out of the 80s and publicly trash the old cartoon, I don't know what the hell they were thinking to begin.
And they knew nothing of it. Remember, everyone that voiced they knew nothing of that. But you're right.
All right, it's one thing that she took it, made changes from an established thing, right? We all, the three of us unanimously agree, like, if she wanted to take that story and apply it to anything else, yeah, go for it, good on you. This didn't work here. Now, I will say, if there were people that weren't familiar with old She-Ra and watched this and found something that, like, spoke to them about this, if it made them feel something, all the power to you. That's great. That's fine. But it's just the way that she went about the entire process from the beginning, and everyone gave her the benefit of the doubt, and now all this has happened, and now it's like, well, she showed her true colors. That's what
There
it's been.
you go. It all came out.
Anybody who comes out on a mission like that and so in your face that she's gay, like, we're supposed to be living in a time where if you were openly gay, it's not a big deal anymore. You know, that obviously, yes, we've got some backward ass people on this planet who love to be ugly about those kinds of things, but that's not what we're talking about here. It's like the consensus is going back to Nathan's point, where Ellen has her own TV show. She's arguably the hottest TV show host, was in America, because people were fine with the fact that she was a lesbian. She wasn't beating you over the head with it. Now, what she was doing behind closed doors, that's a different story. Yeah. But whereas this girl comes onto the scene and is just like, we get it, lady. I don't think you deserve an award, because I'm not going to call you courageous, because I think we're at a point where be gay and be proud and live your life the way you want to be. But I'm not going to give you a Medal of Honor because you want to talk about this and then insert it into this property that was not meant for something like that. Like, she's obviously done very well writing stories that appease to the audience that she is trying to talk to, but doing that in a property that's already established. I don't care if it's Spider-Man, Batman, Star Trek, Star Wars, Transformers, Lord of the Rings. Anybody was to come in and have that kind of a variation of a 180 is going to piss off the fan base. Nobody in any fan base can argue about that. It's just not the time or place. But for her to come in with that chip on her shoulder and already, that's why I get so put out with people dismissing the original fans, whether it's Star Wars fans or Star Trek, all the stuff I just mentioned. They're all so quickly dismissed because they want to challenge the people who want to come along and change the thing that they've all kept alive all these years. They have a right, because you wouldn't have this position if they weren't celebrating it and still buying merchandise and still signing up to buy expensive ass collectibles on various websites, writing to these companies who own the rights to these toys and the cartoons. You know, you don't have this opportunity without us, and she didn't have She-Ra without us. You know, it's the fans like us all over this planet, male, female, whatever, gay, straight, does not matter. Doesn't matter what kind of race you are. People like us have kept that property alive all these years, kept it relevant on the internet, which is why it was picked up, why there's people were interested in putting, getting the cartoon rights, and we are just so quick to shoot out the door like we don't have a damn opinion, like we're a bunch of grown-ass men or a bunch of damn losers living in their mother's basement who are all socially awkward, who stink, scratching on the belly, writing on there, typing a bunch of trolling shit.
And honestly, that kind of thing, like, goes immediately against what her agenda was trying to be, right? Like, she's trying to be like, I'm trying to implement this, but at the same time, it's like, oh, wait, so now you're just, like, pigeonholing those, like, stereotyping those guys, like, the nerds that sit in the basement and oily faces and their mom's, like, upstairs cooking them food. Yeah.
You're right, but no, like, one last piece of advice for any of the, newer, younger fans or anybody is, learn to, take criticism, because we've been critical of all our properties, whether it is Masters of the Universe, Transformers, Star Wars, Star Trek, like Tyler was saying. The thing is, we've critiqued all different forms, incarnations of this property for years. It's because we're passionate fans. So we've been doing it all this time, and it's not, like you said, because racist or sexist or anything else they want to shit out. It's like, no, we're passionate. We might even be critiquing a design of the fucking Power Sword if it's slightly off. So that's what they got to know, is just be open to criticism and learn to try to go with the flow. See what people say. Don't just call people out. But I was going to say, now that we're past her and the nonsense, we got to talk about some of the Wave 3 cardback art. Now, I don't know if, Nathan, if you're going to do a slideshow of it, and I know you guys has yours ranked. I actually have mine stacked up, minus a couple, and boy, was I pissed, because some of my favorites that I have from the Evil and Good, I was like, I didn't have the fucking cardback art. I mean, I thought I had them all in my stack, but as a kid, I must have damaged some of them, so I'm pissed. So my favorite from the villains is not on that stack, damn it. But we'll see once he's
I know. I'm gonna move Tyler's camera around a little bit, but yeah, I got them all up on the screen all at once. So.
And you know what? I'll let you guys, when it comes time, say yours first. I have mine for last, so people don't think I'm copying. I have them stacked up and over there, but
Now,
There's a
what
lot of
goofy ass fan is going to accuse you of doing that? Who has that kind of time on their hands? They want to reach out to Joe Amon and say, I just want you to know you pulled an ozone on Nathan and Tyler last night. And frankly, I'm going to infringe you on Facebook because you're a fake and a phony and a fraud.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if that did happen the next day? Like, what the fuck did I do? But Nathan, you know what? Since you are, less familiar with this, and that's not me insulting and picking on Nathan.
How dare you?
I figured maybe you give.
How dare you?
Like, you fucked Joe, and then there goes my connection.
You must hate Nathans. That's what you are. You're a hate monger. You hate Nathans.
But go ahead, Nathan. Go with your start with the heroes. You might as well. Least favorite to most.
No, I ranked them all, like best to worst. I'm not gonna do villains in here. I'll just start with honestly my least favorite Cardback, and I know this might be an unpopular opinion here, but sitting at number 12 for me is Prince Adams, because you look at all the rest of these, like they all have something going for them. There's a lot of like action bits, or like Mechanic spying and everything, and here we just have Prince Adam looking kind of sad, and then you got a He-Man in front of him who looks equally as sad. I just feel like they could have done way more with that. If we're showing you here's a transformation sequence, this is very it's kind of lame. Honestly, like, could they have not had Prince Adam? Like, in my head, I visualize sort of from the cartoon. Let's say he's standing in front of Castle Grayskull and he's got the sword up, and like half of him has already started to change to He-Man, and half of him's Prince Adam. I don't know, something like that.
I like that. But, okay.
That one's my least favorite.
Prince Adam's mine too.
All right.
I mean, even when I finally got to see it as a kid, when I've got 2 metal card Prince Adams, and when I finally saw it, because I think it's before the card art had been uploaded to the internet, I was so like bummed with the card. I'm like, that's it? Like, it was just so. And this would have been like the late '90s, I think, or maybe 2000 when I got that, and I just remember feeling like I'm proud to own Prince Adam Men on card, but like the card art is just so unappealing. Like it's just 2 figures kind of standing next to each other. There's no posing, there's no action, there's no real background. Like there's no scene that this is taking place. It's just a neutral kind of glowing background, and that's really. And even Prince Adam's pose is like just the action figure just kind of standing there. Like
compared to the rest of these, it really sticks out. There's just not much to it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll reach over, and I got my stack. And on the bottom, because I'm doing them in order, Prince Adam is my least favorite of the heroes. And I still got the price sticker on everything. But
Joe just copied us all here, people.
Yep, and I'll just drop to the next one later. But no, the same thing. It was just bland. It was like there's nothing. It was like really uninspiring, just that to that, nothing. And then, like Nathan, how you described, would have been cooler to see a transformation or maybe half to half something. But this was just meh. It was very white bread and just boring. So, yeah, that is my least favorite one from the heroes, I guess, is Prince Adam.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll go right into it. My number 11. For number 11, I went with Buzz Off because it's just, I know Tyler's making a face at me, but it's just, there's not. There's probably going to be some surprises here, but he's not doing it. Yeah, he's flying, and we see Skeletor, Beastman, and Evil Lyn. It looks like Evil Lyn. I don't know. It's kind of small right here that
It's Evil
looking
Lyn.
at it. There's just not much going on there either. Compared to the rest of these, I'm basing it off of the fact of, like, what's going on. And there's a lot of action going on here. Buzz Off's got nothing, so I put him at number 11.
Okay. Tyler?
Orko. Not that it's a bad one, but it's just Orko, pretty much kind of being Orko. He's just doing magic tricks for the royal court. And compared to all the other action sequences, which I kind of felt Orko could have been depicted in like flashing magic at Beastman or something like that. I mean, I get why they went this way, but definitely probably the most. It's more entertaining than Prince Adams. Yeah. It's more colorful.
But not by much.
So, yeah, but it's not saying it's with it being my next one, I'm not saying it's bad. It just lacks the action because it's still beautifully drawn and illustrated. But compared to Prince Adams, it's by far better than Prince Adam.
All right, Tyler, I hope you're looking at this closely because here's my next least favorite. Orko. It's exactly what you said. There's a lot going on in the picture, but the art style just seems so different and off from the rest. And I mean, everybody's smiling, but I was like, okay, he's supposed to be performing his magic and doing great stuff, but I was like, he's just floating and just has it around. I was like, it didn't feel magical or like something cool. It wasn't something I enjoyed looking at. I mean, you got the weird ass looking dog and cats, and okay, they're having fun at Orko's expense, but I wished he would have been doing more. And again, the art just felt different from all the other pieces to me, and I never liked it as a kid, and I still don't. So, Orko. So this is gonna be bizarre if we keep going in the same order, but go ahead, Nathan.
Well, at number 10, I have Orko.
Okay.
Buzz Off snuck under there as being because the reason I put Orko's over Buzz Off is because at least with Orko's you have the color there. We have a variety of characters. You kind of have them in his element, which, while not like it's obviously one of my least favorite ones out of here, but at least it's got more than Buzz Off and Prince Adam.
Okay.
My next one would unfortunately be Clawful.
Really?
Mainly because I feel like Clawful doesn't look as menacing in his pose. Because a couple of these, like there's two of these, and I love the environment. I love, and I want to see like more battles drawn like this of like in a swamp or knee deep water, which makes it adds a little extra level of danger to the environment that you're fighting in. And I love Tila's pose. She looks awesome, but Clawful just kind of looks not as threatening in the picture. Like I feel like with some of the other villains on this list, they're a little bit more menacing in their pose. Like they're a little bit more engaged in the battle, whereas Clawful just kind of looks like slightly leaning forward. Like we should have seen him like grabbing Tila's arm, like with the shield on, or holding up her sword arm, like being a little bit more engaged in the battle. And that's the only reason, is because Clawful's way up there, as you guys know, and is what I will reiterate here in a little while. I just found that his card art was just not as much of an ass kicker as me being the vintage Clawful fan that I am should have been.
All right. I like that. No, I like that description. Now, me, like I said, I might be slightly different when I'm going with what you guys are doing, because I'm still going to stick on my heroes order. So my third least favorite of the heroes one is Battle Armor He-Man.
Really?
I don't know why. I did not like the and I'm going to tell you, when it comes to the other Battle Armor for Skeletor, so I just felt off. I was like, it never looked like they were hitting the chest. Everything was just in a different angle. And sure, it looks kind of dynamic how Merman is fighting with them, but now that's one, as you've seen, I'm not holding because I don't have that piece of cardback art, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the posing. I didn't like that it just didn't seem like anything was matching up with the armor, and it's my third least favorite from the heroes.
Interesting. Well, coming at number 9 for me is going to be Battle Armor Skeletor. Because
I agree. Go ahead.
Because once again, I'm comparing it to everything else. It's got, like, the sequence just seems off about it, plus this side profile of Skeletor's face just looks really weird to me. Mm-hmm. And it just... I have Battle Armor He-Man a little bit higher up on my list, and that's kind of what brought Battle Armor Skeletor way down, was because, like, Battle Armor He-Man's represented in 2 of these, but he looks better on his own card art than he does Skeletor's.
Okay.
Next for me would be Battle Armor He-Man. I do like it. I love Merman's pose. I like the fact that it's in a swamp or a body of water of some kind. But I can't explain it, though, because when I first saw it, I found it to be a little less exciting, even though it was so cool to see Merman engaged in a sword fight with He-Man. I can't quite put my finger on it as to why it's good, but could have been better. But I also love the background. Like, the background is what really makes this scene for me is fighting in that body of water like that. I absolutely love that.
Okay, I like that. No, I do. You're right. Now I'm going to get. I have two heroes left. No, you're going to get to two. I have two heroes left. So remember, it's going from worst to best. So now I do get to buzz off being my next one. With this, I enjoyed it. I mean, I'd love seeing. I mean, it shows who he is of obviously being a spy in the sky. How they're kind of describing something like that for, especially for missions, but. I just thought he looked so creepy. There was, as a kid, bug creatures and things just somehow just fascinated me. I love the perspective, the angle. It didn't look off. Like you said, there's a lot of pieces of art at times that things, when they're at a weird perspective, look too big, too small. It seemed like they nailed everything here just perfectly. So this is my second favorite of all the hero art is Buzz Off. So, of course, when we come to the next part, you already know what I'm going to say. But go ahead, Nathan.
Up next at number 8. For me, and it's kind of funny that Joe did it that way, so now we'll just confuse everybody.
No, they got it.
But at number 8, I went with Clawful. Tila's holding the power sword. That doesn't make any sense. I think I know Grim 2 said something about the proportions with it. I didn't mind the proportions in this. I like the setting that they're in, but as Tyler said before, I think they could have done more to show, like, Clawful should have been using his claw and not just standing there.
Okay.
Next for me would be Fisto. And I have vague recollections of this one as a kid, since, of this list, there was very few that I owned as a kid. And I there was very few card arts I remembered as a kid. It was more about the mini comics and seeing them in the packaging. But something I felt like Skeletor's pose looks more like the figure was just kind of drawn, and like the pose, as opposed to we see Skeletor and all these others. There's more to his posing, whereas Fisto looks like he's just punching the figure. Even though it looks awesome, it's clearly depicting Fisto what he does best. I just wish Skeletor just didn't look like the action figure, just kind of toppling over, which is why I would have put it even higher on the list if it wasn't for Skeletor's lack of, posing there. I need to see a lot of body language, in my action sequences, especially in comic books and things. I need to see, I'm very specific when I talk to Kevin or Axel about it. I need to see the character doing a little bit more. I need to see a punch, selling a punch, arms flailing kind of thing. So. But I love the background and everything as well. But it's still a kick-ass one. It's just trying to explain why it's not as higher. So,
it sounds perfect. And now I'll get to mine, which my favorite of all the heroes is Fisto. I used to love reenacting a lot of the shit that was on these cardback arts, and I don't know if that has anything to do with me, maybe how I rank some of these, but his arm, even though his shoulder looked sometimes to me like it was way too big, I just pictured, well, fuck, he's got this massive fist. This could be his super big arm, and I just pictured, and I used to beat the shit out of Skeletor, just like that. I'd pull and just bam. I like the like I said, the impact of it. You're right. The picture of Skeletor, I can agree, looks like it was almost an action figure. Maybe as a kid, that's why it didn't bug me, because I was just beating the shit out of him. But it just looks so impactful and just like, god damn, I wouldn't want to get hit by this fucker. So that's why I rank him on my top for all the hero card backs there.
Right on.
Cool.
Tyler's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I really like okay, yeah, I agree. He's like Brian Gobble. Right on. Yeah, me too.
Up next for me. Up next for me is gonna be. This might be. Tyler might give me the eyes again, but I'm gonna go with Whiplash. Okay. I think I'm really starting to break it down in terms of the action elements to it, and I imagine this will come to haunt me as I get higher up on my list. But when I'm comparing it to the others, I kind of look at this similar to Clawful. Yeah, we get a little bit of action. You can see what Whiplash is trying to do, but there's not. I don't know. I once I started creeping up on this, I kind of had a harder time of where I wanted to place certain things. So at one point I had Whiplash a little bit higher, and I looked at the others a little bit some more. I was like, maybe I'll switch this out instead. Because
Whiplash is bad. He's badass looking, but I can see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Mine would be Whiplash next.
Really? All right.
Mainly because I don't like how He-Man is drawn.
He just looks the way that he's. I get it. I get like him falling because of Whiplash's tail, but it's just like something in his face there. He just doesn't.
He doesn't look as like. I know the holiday is like is the element of surprise. Like He-Man's supposed to look surprised, like he's thrown off by this new villain here, but it just looks like the most unthreatening He-Man. Like I like there are some of these where He-Man looks, at least with Battle Armor He-Man, he's a little bit more engaged with Merman. Like he's taken the hit, whereas this, he's just like his face is just run. Like he just kind of felt like he ought to be like gritting his teeth and kind of like leaning back to avoid it. It looks like his own, like like he's throwing his hands up. Like it's just not. When I got that in the mail when I was in high school, I was like, oh man, He-Man just doesn't look that cool. But Whiplash looks amazing on the back, and it's still sitting over here on my wall. I hate how He-Man is drawn on the back, but but Whiplash is awesome, and it would be higher if He-Man just didn't look like he just saw a mouse.
Agreed. And now I just remembered I have to switch something on my good because I forgot. I put them all down. There was the two there was a three I didn't have. I forgot I didn't have Mechaneck either. So Mechaneck would be going into the number 2 slot. And of course, Fisto would be number 1. But Mechanecks, I do like that. It's because the thing is, it kind of harkens to what you always hear people say when they were like, Mechaneck's worthless. I mean, you know what? In my eyes,
kiss my ass. Any of those people out there, I hope you're offended. I hope every one of you are offended.
Well, this is what they say about
every one of you out there who think that.
Well, and that's the thing, because they think, well, I mean, Extendar, once he came out, I mean, you might as well just say it's the same thing as Mechaneck, but better. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Extendar extends every part of his body. He's the Tower of Power, becomes one of the most powerful people on all of Eternia. I was like, he's completely different. But his neck stretches, and so does Mechaneck's. I'm like, yeah, but Mechaneck's can keep going for a big distance, but also he's the guy that does the recon and knows what's going on to alert people of danger. And then when it's time to fight, he's going to join as well. But I was like, how can you dismiss him as being a shitty character? So, yeah, Mechaneck was number 2, and then Fisto number 1. So I just had to say that because I had to not flip my order. I just forgot to mention Mechaneck because I don't own the fucking Cardback art or Fistos.
Well, funny that you mention it because I have Mechaneck in my next spot. Like, I like it. I think it looks cool. Okay. I think it does everything it's supposed to. It shows them spying and doing everything. But once again, I'm comparing it to the others that have, like, fun little action spots going on. So it was just a little further down on the list for me.
Okay.
Next would be Mechaneck.
All right.
I love how Skeletor and Beastman are drawn. I love the angle. I love the cliff that Skeletor and Beastman are kind of coming down on, and Mechaneck just quietly kind of hovering with his neck coming up just to see them. It's really conveys the situation. Like even though I'm saying like there's not enough action going on, but Mechaneck is the heroic human periscope. His gimmick is that he can see over great distances. He can, if you watch Disappearing Dragons, you see a prime example right off the bat of what Mechaneck can do, and that's what makes him different from Extendar. He is someone who can see farther than anybody else. There's nobody else other than Cyclone, and that's only because he's got a radar detecting like enemies approaching. Mechaneck is the go-to. When you're in one location, you don't have to fly and send balls off in Stratos. Mechaneck can do it from right where he's at, and that's what makes him so special. So all those morons who are just too lazy and just see two guys with neck stretching, get your head out of your ass. You're just an idiot. You're a jerk off. You're a phony. You're lame. You suck.
All right.
Well, now I got no time for you.
I'm going to grab for my stack of evil cards, ranking worst to best. And my least favorite is Battle Armor Skeletor. It's almost like with what I said about He-Man, but I didn't get it. I didn't like He-Man's pose in this. It's like he almost, to me, looks like he's the one that's getting struck back, but he's the one that's supposed to be striking on Skeletor's battle armor, which, again, isn't even really on his armor. It's to his side, but I know it's supposed to be, okay, maybe swing and bam and bounced back, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the art. It's almost like what you said, Nathan. His eyes look weird. I don't like his face, how it's drawn, but I did not like that. So my least favorite of the evils is Battle Armor Skeletor.
There's something about the battle armor on Skeletor as well. It just looks off. Like
it's very bulky.
It might be a perspective.
Like it's too big for him.
Yeah, and that could be adding to the perspective too. But just So yeah, coming in at number 6, least favorite evil warriors is Battle Armor Skeletor.
Right on. Well, up next for me, which I guess would be the number 5 spot, I did Battle Armor He-Man. I like it. I like the situation that we're in, but something that Tyler said, He-Man looks kind of off. I like how Merman looks in this.
It looks bad.
I think if they could have just tweaked He-Man a little bit to make him not, he just looks too happy. Or like if he could have also like picked up his axe as well. So it's like he's going towards him with his axe up. Merman's got like I don't know. Or have the axe like kind of out in front a little more to where it's like hitting the armor and the axe at the same time. That's something. But
the axe should be held up, or like it should be like it's getting ready to be put into action.
Yeah.
Like I know what you're saying there. Yeah,
but it's still great. I like it quite a bit. I like all of these honestly, except for Prince Adam. Prince Adam's the one out of all these that I'm just like, there's just
Prince Adam is still better than Ratlor's though.
Yeah, all of us did that on Prince Adam, so that was kind of, well, I guess great minds think alike. All right, Tyler.
All right, my next one is Buzz Off. I love Buzz Off. I'm a bit advocate of the character, and I'm a big fan of this card art because I love Buzz Off being high up in the clouds, and Skeletor's are like, holy shit, we got a spy here. And I just like the scene that it's setting up. That whereas Mechanics, they don't know his presence. Buzz Off is like detected because he's not trying to hide, but they clearly can't get him because he can fly. So I like that setup. That and he's carrying his axe there, which obviously Buzz Off, that axe weapon just doesn't work. He needs that Stinger Lance. But I just love the in the sky aspect of it is what sets it apart. It kind of makes you think of Fairy Tale Theater's Jack and the Beanstalk, where Jack climbs up and it's up in the clouds and everything like that. Just when I see the clouds up, it just gives me a perspective of how high up Buzz Off is. So I just like the scene of like, he caught the bad guys. He knows what they're up to. He's going to get back to He-Man and let him know what's going on.
That's pretty cool. I think we're almost all going somewhat in similar direction. I could tell what Tyler's saying. So even though I went from heroes to good, still seems kind of interesting. We're almost pretty much on the same wavelength, all three of us. But
I'm glad you think that, because I sure as hell don't.
He's like, nah. Number 5 of it is Whiplash. It's what you guys were saying earlier. Whiplash is drawn very menacing, looks great, but yes, the pose on He-Man is off. It almost looks like he's falling down, like he's not trying to fight at all. I mean, I know that they don't want to engage showing art and him swinging an axe, but I mean, I think it would have made more of an impact. Just picture this, Tyler, if you can understand what I'm saying. If Whiplash was using his tail and slammed He-Man into that wall in the background, all that mountains, and it crushing, that could have made more of an impact. This just was left very just him there. I didn't like it. I just hated the pose of it. Whiplash, awesome. He-Man, off. They should have had more. It should have had more action. So, yeah, number 5 is Whiplash for me.
Hell, Whiplash could have been knocking the axe out of his hand or something like that.
Something, anything, yeah.
It's, because some of these, they are engaging in actual physical contact, whether they're blocking it or not, but there is some, like, interaction. It's not just, hey, you there. It's, as we go up the list, we'll see it a little bit more here. But, Whiplash either should have had, like, the tail wrapped around his waist, around He-Man's waist, like, holding him up in the air.
Just or anything. I know they're trying to get the gimmick action in these. That's what they're trying to do. Yeah. So, yeah, something if they could have boom, an impact. But, all right, Nathan.
These top 4, this is where it's like things started to shift around a little bit. And even then, I'm still not entirely sure. But I'm going to go with Web Store next. I just like the story that's being told here. But you don't even really know. It's like Web Store getting away. And they're all like looking up, like, ah, shit, what just happened? What's going on? And it uses his abilities, his action features, the shit that he comes with. We get some of that. So I don't have a lot to say about it, but it's not as colorful either as some of the other ones that are on here. But there's just,
I think if they would have put in the missing detail on his armor, it would have helped a whole lot. It irked me as hell as a kid, but I know what you're saying.
It's like Tyler was saying with Buzz Off in the perspective. I like the way that they made that look with that perspective of him being up there looking down on them, and they're looking up at him.
All right. My next one is Battle Armor Skeletor. And
damn, that's pretty high up there.
It is, because I had a very vague memory of a cardback as a child I never could remember what it was of He-Man and Skeletor fighting on the parapet. And that's all. I thought it was the He-Man or Skeletor card art because I could not remember what the card was for He-Man and Skeletor that I had when I was a kid. So when I finally got the commemorative Battle Armor Skeletor and I saw that, I'm like, so that's the card I was on. Because I did own Battle Armor Skeletor as a kid. And I was always fascinated by the fight. And that's what another thing I've wanted to see. I tried to convey it to Axel one time. He didn't understand what the hell I was talking about. Ended up turning into a whole other illustration. But I wanted to see He-Man in the parapet of Grayskull with the Cosmic Key and Evil Warriors are coming up the steps to get ready to attack him. I couldn't convey that to him, but it was based off of this card art that I just found was fascinating of He-Man and Skeletor, and that's what we want to see, like on the top of Castle Grayskull, like He-Man striking Skeletor, he's about losing his balance because he can't take out Skeletor because the battle was taking so much damage. I will say Skeletor's face does look awkward. It looks too damn bulky. It's off scale. It just doesn't look right. But the fight on the parapet of Grayskull, looking at it like it's so high up, I've always wanted to see more fights like that, and I was just so fascinated by that as a kid. Joe, we see that you're holding up Whiplash there. I'm not. What are you doing?
No, because I'm still holding for my order. I've been holding the whole time. Okay. I've been just holding my thing.
Joe, I'm thinking like Joe's like, I'm here. Do you see me here?
No.
So yes,
just didn't want to switch.
All right. I said was my piece, and that's why I love that so much.
All right, my number 4 for the Evil Warriors is the Clawful one. Now for this, like I said, Clawful was a character that I kind of did have an obsession so much for that if we ever had crab legs, I hollowed out the extra crab leg shell and I would put it on his other claw, his smaller one, so we could have 2 big ones. My Clawful smelled the shit. He stink as a kid. It was every time we had to go wash it in the sink, Joey. That's what I always had to get after I did it. But
I could hear that now. Your mom just being like, "God damn it, Joey, not again."
It was because it was horrible. But either way, for the reason I like this is first, it just looks like he's jumping out to attack. But I always wondered, why did Teela have He-Man's sword? It made me think as a kid, did Clawful take care of He-Man? Is he somewhere in the waters there and he knocked him out and Teela got the sword and is now trying to fight? I used to picture these little stories because it helped, because as for Teela, she never engaged in many battles with my figures as a kid. This kind of helped because it made it seem like, all right, she's got a sword, she's got a shield, and maybe she could fight. And it was cool always seeing Teela in something extra where she was, actually doing something else in a piece of cardback art or any art. So I just thought it was dynamic. I liked how they looked in the water itself, and I try to recreate some things as a kid, but Clawful was always just so menacing to me and, like I said, a favorite. So that's why I put it at number 4.
How long would you go until they had to tell you to put it in the sink, by the way?
The next day, because it started smelling. You know how seafood is.
Oh, God. Ugh.
Yeah,
and
I'd have it to
you didn't have a care in the world, did you? You're like, he's supposed to smell that way. He's Clawful.
It's just... Well, I never thought that, but I just loved it because it looked cool. I was like, he's got 2 big claws now. So I guess I was customizing with seafood when I was a fucking kid. Look, always been there doing it, I guess.
So I guess if Joe wasn't asking a hefty fee, this is what people would be getting with their customs. They'd be getting food attached to them.
Could you imagine that? I'm going to make a double Clawful for you.
Hey, can you make optic for me? And Joe slaps like a damn olive on the He-Man buck. Here you go, man. That'll be $200.
There you go. Making that.
I want a battle armor. I want a battle armor faker, but I want his battle armor to be made out of a Spam can.
Oh, that's cold. That was low, goddammit. No, go ahead. Nathan, you're next one.
At number 3, there's only one thing in this that really... I mean, it's kind of, to me anyway, it's just a glaring problem. I put Cobra Khan at number 3. If you get Man-at-Arms out of there, it would be pretty much perfect, but just based off of what's going on, I love how it looks. But Man-at-Arms just standing directly behind there looking like sort of... he doesn't even look like he's looking at Cobra Khan either. He looks like he's just staring at us, sort of. I
get that.
But other than that, I think it looks awesome. I like the setting that we're just out here, just in the jungle. Even though those sort of look like palm trees, and I feel like palm trees don't really grow too much in the... I'm getting kind of out here, but I like this one a lot. And honestly, I had him lower, and then I put him higher because I like what's going on. It's just the whole Man-at-Arms thing. He just doesn't belong there. He didn't need to be right there. Like if they were gonna have him
they
in
might
there,
they might have forced him to draw it, but I know what you mean.
well, if they were gonna include
like,
him in there, maybe like put him in the middle, but like far off and
it's like
in the
he's popping up
distance,
saying,
kind of thing.
"Hi."
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's just kind of like, yeah, I know what you mean. I
feel like I put this one too high up on my list. Now that I think about it,
No,
go ahead, Tyler.
Sounds good.
Well, my next one is Jitsu. There's nothing wrong with this one at all. I love seeing Jitsu fighting He-Man because I know for the most part it's kind of set up this Jitsu and Fisto. But I like seeing Jitsu duke it out with other heroic warriors. I like that it's in a dungeon of some kind, most likely probably Snake Mountain. Skeletor's watching as if like, it's almost like some of these you could almost see them as like introducing like a new character into the sequence. Like Skeletor's like, I have the master of martial arts. Jitsu, go kick his ass in the dungeons of Snake Mountain there, and just Jitsu just going right at it, just not hesitating. And I love the dungeon setup, like the medieval dungeon, and Skeletor's looking on in anticipation. It's just it's a beautiful card art. It depicts Jitsu as a very dominant character. Like he is physically engaged in battle with He-Man in this. Like it's memorable. God, I like Joe. I obsessed over Jitsu and Clawful as a kid, and I didn't even own them. I just knew of them, and I just above. Webster probably would have been next. I could not get over how awesome Jitsu and Clawful were as a kid. I was just something about them. I just like, oh my God, like it just redefined villains to me. It was words can't describe it. I just had this. It's why I like to talk about Jitsu so much on this podcast. Is I just had this strong affinity for the character. That it's a character that God should have been given so much more. And I hate that people were just afraid an Asian character was going to be stereotyping Asians, which is unfortunate because I didn't think that as a kid. I just saw him as this very badass character.
None of us did that as a kid.
Yeah, I hate that. But Jitsu's my top three.
All right, I'll get to my three. My top three. Coming in at number 3 is Cobra Khan. Yes, I love this piece just like you guys did and what you were saying earlier. It's, again, you could picture He-Man, Man-at-Arms going through the jungle, whatever the scenery could be, and bam, he pops out and he sprays that, and of course He-Man's blocking with his shield. More things that, again, kids can recreate, but I just love him. Like I said, he looks so fucking sinister in just that piece alone. Man-at-Arms, I agree with both of you guys. Like I said, he looks like he's just popped up his head to say hi. I mean, you can just fucking Photoshop him out of that. But
that's the only thing that holds this back. Honestly, if he was not in there, that would be very tight contention to maybe be like number 1.
Oh, hell yeah. Because look at He-Man. I mean, He-Man's looking intense and almost like a kind of a grimacing face, like to hold back that shit. It's just, it looks like they're ready to really engage in battle. They've already started, but really get going. So, yeah, so my number 3 is Cobra Khan.
Number 2 for me is Jitsu. It's awesome. Tyler's already kind of said it before. I like the idea. It looks like He-Man's about to confront Skeletor, and then bam, here comes Jitsu. It's just like, no, you got to get through me first. Like, it's
yeah.
It's one, and you can even see it on Skeletor's face. You can almost see like he's just sort of slouched over, just like like just because he knows that this could be a fantastic opportunity to take down He-Man.
Yeah, like he's relishing, like he's leaning over, like, oh my God, like he's gonna do it. He's gonna kick He-Man's ass. Ha!
Yeah, haha! Do that shit before I walked in the room.
Like dynamite, baby. I love that part. God, love that.
But yeah, it's awesome. Like Tyler said, Jitsu's one of those characters that, like, even Tyler not owning him as a kid, just like if you were to see that Cardback art, it's like, holy shit! Like, I have to have this figure.
Oh my God, there's so many things when it comes to He-Man. I really wish I could go back and just. And I saw him as a kid. Like there was a kid at daycare that had Jitsu and Night Stalker, so he probably had the 2-pack. And I remember sitting in the floor at daycare and he was an older kid, and I remember just sitting there like, that's and this, I just knew who it was, and I sat there silent, just watching him, like having like the greatest show on earth was depicted in front of me while he was playing with Jitsu and Night Stalker in the congregation den at my daycare center. I never forget. And then he gave it to his little brother. And I remember, like in elementary school at a PTO meeting, his little brother was playing with Jitsu and Night Stalker. I so wanted to walk over to that kid and say, "Can I have those?"
Why don't you just punch him? Give me that.
Well, he was with his mother at the time too. So I just was like,
you don't want to watch. Boom!
I remember like looking back to the crowd, like, "Where's he at?" Like, I thought, like, I'll never own Jitsu and that other robotic horse. I didn't know his name was Night Stalker at the time, but it was like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber, like grabbing my heart.
Mm-hmm. So what's your number 2, Tyler?
Well, Brian Gumble, my next one is Cobra Khan. I always took it that Cobra Khan was so badass, he's going at 2 heroic warriors at the same time, He-Man and Man-at-Arms. Like, I don't disagree with you with Man-at-Arms' lack of everything. His head just kind of popped up like Joe Amano. Yeah. He's spraying you with hitting you on the shield. Mm-hmm. Not really doing too much. But that's how I always saw it, because there's a few card arts, and we'll see them in future discussions, where the villain is taking on a multitude of other villains or other heroes. So for Cobra Khan, just going right at He-Man and He-Man Arms without hesitation. I love it. I love the tropical background. Like to think that there's this terrain of palm trees, and it looks like a jungle, but also looks beach-like, almost like maybe the ocean is not far off to the side. And that's another thing about a lot of these, is that so many of these cards tell stories, and it makes you wonder, like, how vast Eternity is. Like, what is going on in this scene? Is Cobra Khan there to stop them, or are they there to stop Cobra Khan? And it doesn't matter, because Cobra Khan is going at both of them heads on. And it's just it's a perfect definition of Cobra Khan. Like, he is the greatest Snake Man. I mean, but he is not part of these Snake Men, in my opinion, but it's a work of art. Cobra Khan it's a masterpiece. Damn it!
I'd love to have all these damn things without any text on them. Would have been awesome to see, and have them framed pieces, some nice bigger pictures. Well, here comes my number 2, because like I said, I don't own the number 1. My favorite I don't own. So number 2 is Jitsu. So now I can put down all the cards, because I don't own number 1.
Joe, I don't know why you just held them there the whole time. You could have just like sat them like in your lap or something.
Yeah. It was almost like reminding us
like
that we need to hurry the hell up so we can get to you, Joe.
Like, hurry, let's go, me, I'm doing a Bart Simpson, look at me. But yes, the thing with this Jitsu piece, first, I mean, again, look at his facial expressions and He-Man's, and Skeletor isn't goofy, unlike a lot of the other ones where it looks silly, with either the googly eyes and the battle armor, or as Tyler said, an action figure kind of look in the Fisto one. This one, he looks creepy too, but in my mind, I always pictured him using everybody, of course, as like his lackey. Like he's like, Jitsu, just like you said, get him. But then I didn't think Skeletor would stay there to fight. His hunch always made me think he was ready to run and get the fuck out of there. Like, okay, Jitsu, you do this. I'm getting out of here while you're taking care of He-Man. So I never pictured Skeletor engaging in battle. But yeah, Jitsu was, again, one of my other favorites. I mean, beyond with Clawful and his gimmick, I mean, who didn't like using the chopping motion over and over? And he looks so badass, and we barely got anything from him. There's a lot of cool stuff in some of the golden stuff, and the golden books, and even the giant golden book pictures where they had a whole thing showing him do something. You don't see much of. I might scan it and share, but
yeah, there was something I came across in a Google search. And maybe you have seen this, Joe. Maybe some of you have there. I came across a variation of the Mega Laser card art, which, if you look up the Mega Laser card art, it's Skeletor, Beastman, and I believe Stinkor. Well, there's a variation that has Jitsu on it.
I wonder if that's the one that came. There was I didn't know if you knew this. I mean, you might have, but I thought there was variations on some of the accessories, like the Mega Laser, the Stilt Stalkers, and of course the Jet Sled. Some came with no image on the front, and some came with character art on the front. And I don't know if maybe the ones that had character art on the front had the variation on the back. I'll be honest, because I never owned the card backs for the Mega Lasers or anything that had the image on the front. Did you? Because I didn't own those.
No, the only one that I currently own man on card is the Stilt Stalkers, and it's got He-Man with the Stilt Stalker, like it's got the
you have the art?
artwork. Yeah, I've got that one. Yeah.
Oh damn! I didn't know. Mine were all blank and plain, so I'll have to look into. I didn't check that.
Yeah, and I didn't think about that. I've seen that, but it never occurred to me, because the Mega Laser, the pictures I've seen have no artwork on the front. It's just the Mega Laser. It's a very kind of blank looking card, And then the jet sled, I don't think it has anything, at least not that I can recall.
Oh, well, that's the thing. There's all of them have a variation. There is one where they has the art with the jet sled. They have the one with man-at-arms with the mega laser on the front with art piece there too. So.
Oh yes, God, yeah, I was really drawing a blank on that one. Jeez,
I wish I had those.
I'm looking
man.
bad in front of you here, dude.
No, you're not. But yeah, I wish I had those. Mine were all the blanks. But yeah, he looks like so. I mean, he's a badass, and that's what he looked like. They didn't draw him looking silly or any awkward, poses. This one, I felt all the poses were perfect. Nothing looked off. The impact of the hand that just struck past the shield is actually hitting the shield. It's not just hitting a random spot that you're thinking, wait, what just happened? You don't question anything in this. So that's my number 2 is Jitsu.
If you guys have been keeping up this entire time, my number 1 is Fisto. And I know that Fisto, his proportions are kind of weird on this, but I mean, shit, man. Like, we got like volcanic activity. Looks like it's happening on the ground here, and he just knocked Skeletor the fuck out. Like, how do you not like that? I mean, that
he was my number 1 hero too. Yeah,
I mean, it's showing like how much of a badass he is.
Yeah.
Like, and I agree on Tyler's point that like, yeah, Skeletor does look a little off, but I mean, like, he just got knocked the fuck out. Like he's
dizzier than a
on his way
motherfucker.
down,
He doesn't know
man.
what's
like,
going on.
his jaw's like shifted over a little bit. Like he's going out at least for a little bit.
Yeah, he knocked him into that awkward position, though. Yeah, I see.
But
you're right.
I love
Definitely.
Nathan's enthusiasm for that. I love that.
So while the proportions aren't exactly, there's just something about it. Like, as soon as I looked at these, that was the first one that popped to me. It was just like, that tells you everything you need to know about Fisto right there.
All right. Well said.
I love that. Mine is Web Store. And I have been an avid fan of that card art since I got him on card from Happy's Flea Market back when me and Nathan were still in high school. And I saw that, and I was so captivated by this sequence that takes place at night, how dark looking the color scheme was, and how menacing Webster looked. Like, yes, he's missing the red star colored in, but he just looks so vicious and evil because of the color scheme, how dark. Like, because he was all essentially dark blue, kind of looked even more menacing to me. And the fact that he's thrown the hook up and he's gotten up to the parapet of Grayskull, like, in completely avoided capture, like, he could probably break into Grayskull. Like, that was thinking, like, he bypassed them all. He-Man, Teela, and Man-at-Arms, like, they're all looking up. And I love the perspective, like, paints it up like it's very high up the way it should be. And that Webster has won this battle that we're seeing. Like, it doesn't look like, it's He-Man just kind of stopping somebody. It's like Webster he could get inside the castle and go about anywhere he wants, or just avoid capture altogether. Like, that defines Webster, and that's the way it always should be. God, it was just absolute perfection. I would absolutely love to have a nice 11x17 print of Webster's card art, because there's some sequences that take place at night I just find to be so much more entertaining, and it's just beautiful and badass. It's B&B. That's what it is. I'm going to coin that on this podcast. B&B, beautiful and badass.
All right, well, that's the new trademark from Tyler. We're going to put it on a T-shirt.
Do it, Joe.
Yes, we are. Or a tank top, just like this Jitsu versus Fisto here.
Well, my number 1, like I said, I don't own it. It's just what you said. It is Webster. Just the sensation of motion that you get from it, because you can envision, again, the great thing about these pieces of art is, as a kid, we used our imaginations back then, so we created stories, multiple ones, wondering what just happened. But you could tell he got away. This is his escape. And I remember swinging like a lasso and throwing the hook on the Castle Grayskull and just pulling, and him zipping up, and it makes you wonder, what just happened? Was he in Grayskull? Did he get one of the artifacts? Did he kill somebody? Did he hurt somebody? What was going on? But that he escaped from both of them down there, it's just a beautiful piece. And you're right, perspectives are great. It irked the hell out of me that he didn't have his, the centerpiece. But otherwise, I see nothing wrong with it. Another creepy character. I was kind of obsessed with a lot of the bad guys. So, because they always looked,
they
popped
badass. So much to me as a kid. And it was just something, and we'll get into it here in a few moments, which will be probably one of my most defining moments as a He-Man fan. But especially the 84 wave. I dare say 85 next, or maybe even number 1, because I think I've often said 85 was like the definitive top wave, and we can always open that for discussion. Listeners in the chat room, from 82 to 87, what was your favorite wave? What do you feel like was the perfect wave? And I swear, if it's everyone saying, "Oh, I think it's the first wave," then I'm just.
Hey, I mean, they can be entitled to that if they actually liked it.
They can, but I mean, come on, like, are you really going to say that the line pinnacled the first wave out of the gate? I mean, really?
You're a good man. Hey, let me say something. You're a good man, Zen Brown. He said he's waiting for his Fans of Power T-shirts to get there. Oh, I didn't know you ordered things, Zen Brown. Appreciate it.
It'll take a hot minute.
Yeah, we need to see pictures, too.
It'll take a hot minute for it to get there, because the shirts I ordered from Joe, those took a while to get around to you. And if you guys like that conversation, because we already saw where Fedmon said that maybe we need to put, he said to scan more cardbacks for future podcasts. And we got to have a part 2 for this. The plan is to go through every wave. It might not, as you can tell, we're not going in order at all, but we will do that down the road. We will pick a wave, get all the cardbacks, and then we'll rank them.
All right. And now we're going to get to one of the most badass mini comics that they did for Masters of the Universe. Quite possibly, it could be the most badass one.
Oh, it is. It is the best. There will never be another piece of He-Man media that will top this. As I told Nathan, and for people who've listened to this podcast since the beginning, this is by far the greatest piece of American literature.
What are you doing, Nathan?
What do you mean? What am I doing? It was all on the same screen. I had to get that shit out of there and go to Target.
I thought you were being sarcastic because while we were talking about how great it was, he popped up Noel Stevenson. I thought you were being
I had that sharing the screen. I can pop that up and go into studio mode and do it, but I didn't want to. Look, I'm trying to. I'm at the point now where I'm just like slideshows and condense shit down as much as I can. That way, there's not too much going on. But yeah, we get
illustrated by the super uber talented Larry Houston. It's like, goddamn, again, somebody that could draw something out, and you don't even have to have text there to understand what's going on. And at no time are you confused. But of course, text for the story, yes, it will help, but didn't need it because, like how he was saying, you tell a story just by images alone, and every one of them is just full of so much fucking life and impact. It's like, god damn. People need to read this if you haven't. But I'll pass it to you, Tyler, because I know I get emotional and worked up doing this, but I'll just try to calm down.
And I don't?
Well, go ahead.
The hell, am I a bologna sandwich? I will say, for people who are, which one of our listeners on our Facebook page said he had never read this one.
Who was that?
So, he knows who he is.
Who is this person calling out right now?
Tyler doesn't remember their name. That's why he probably said it though. He's like, someone said something. I don't remember anymore.
I know. I saw it because I addressed it.
Speaking really quick.
Well, I addressed it with an emoji. I didn't like saying it because I was going to wait and.
Speaking of which, with Larry Houston, did you guys see when James posted the new pages that
Dan Hudson,
that Larry Houston came in there and commented and told James like how awesome he was doing
for that one page? That is
great.
Hell of a compliment. Yeah, hell of a.
But well, we've interviewed Larry 3 times. And twice for He-Man. So if you want to hear Larry's thoughts on Clash of Arms, we talked to him about it twice on the podcast. So I encourage you to go look up our interviews with Larry Houston. We did a third one for him with him on his time on the X-Men animated series and various other stuff. So if you get more intrigued by Larry's work, we have 3 interviews with him. So just look up.
I was going to say, you can't find that on this YouTube channel. You guys will either have to search for Pop Culture Network on YouTube, or you can go to fanspower.com. That will take you to our page on Pop Culture Network, and then you can go in the search bar. Probably I would assume type in Larry Houston, and that should pop up the shows.
Yeah, the X-Men we did was called Fans of Mutant Power. So it's if you just punch in that or something. What Nathan just said. Just do that. You'll be able to find all 3 interviews with him. But this is, to me, the definitive He-Man story. Like, in terms of excitement, like, He-Man's barely in this. But I have not, outside the live-action movie and certain episodes of Filmation, this mini-comic is the one that rises above all Golden Books, comic books, mini to standard size. It is my definitive He-Man story because it depicted the villains in such a tough guy way, because I was so impressionable by muscle guys as a kid. Like, if you're a muscular hero, I wanted to be. If you're a muscular villain, I was in awe, because like, oh, he's really threatening because of like how strong he is. And right out of the gate, we see Fisto and Stridor, and he's attacked in this. And I love the colors because of how beautifully this is colored there. But Triclops, Clawful, Webstor, and Jitsu, figures I did not own as a kid, and this is the first time I saw them, except for Triclops, running in a group ready to attack Fisto, and Jitsu comes in and knocks the shit out of Fisto immediately and pins him to the ground. And Webster's using his grappling hook to take on Stridor, and Clawful and Jitsu attack. I mean, it just left me in awe. And part of this is from nostalgia, but as I got older and revisited this book, it's still just as impressionable and exciting and memorable today as it was when I got it on Christmas 1987. It's I'm not going to say I'm not trying to say I'm overhyping this, and the people who have never read it were like, "You overhyped it, man. It ain't that damn good." Bullshit, man.
See,
this is nothing but.
You guys never really hyped this too much for me, and I had never read it before until an hour before we did the show. And this is like reading through this. And I promise this is no bull. I'm not bullshitting anybody here, but out of all the many comics that we've done on this show so far that I've been a part of, this one has easily been my favorite.
Yeah!
When you read through it and you see what's going on, and I know I think I set the timer for 15 seconds for each page to slide on through. Maybe I should have like altered that to let it hang a little bit longer for everybody, but you can easily see this being turned into an episode, without a doubt. Just one of those one-offs, and it would be fantastic because he doesn't show up until the end. It's nice to have your secondary characters be the focal point of a story, because being an Eternia, it's not all about Prince Adam and He-Man. It's like, well, what's this character doing? What's this character up to today? And to see it to where it's Fisto, and Skeletor has got other things in mind for everybody else that's not He-Man. It's refreshing and badass to see that as we proceed through this, what his plans are for Fisto. Which I do have a few questions about, though, with this circle of doom. Like, who we know that these villains are in the crowd, but it from a distance it's a little that there's more people out there. I'm kind of curious, like, who else is in attendance for this?
I think it's pretty much they're just henchmen. They're just kind of like an army. Like, his just kind of depicted as just his human army. Like, they're just various warriors in armor, like you would see in a Conan or Red Sonja film. Like, they're just nothing more than not that it was supposed to be.
I only really ask that because you don't in most of the mythology and the media we consume with this. There's not a lot, especially when there's crowds, to make like. Especially when it comes to Skeletor, for me, I was like, well, who would these other people be? Would they just be other regular people of Eternia just showing up? Would it be like, because when you think of like gladiator battles, you know, it's a lot of prominent people in high positions taking up most of the first few rows within this, and then the higher up you go, it's sort of like the class system, you know. So we're getting like the middle class and the lower class of Eternia that are kind of just showing up to these things to hopefully just witness a bloodbath. That's kind of where my mind was going with it.
I could see that, and that would be an interesting take on it. I had always just assumed, and it's something I never thought too much about until Nathan just started talking here. And I thought, like, and Joe, I don't know if Joe's thought about this either, is that, you know, Skeletor's army outside of his evil warriors, which are his henchmen, his armies are pretty much essentially made up of, like, either some people like to say Skelecons, your hover robots, or various kind of other random things. But to have an entire army of humans in various armor is something we have never really seen Skeletor have. That there's all these human beings that have signed up to be in Skeletor's army. Like, it's only depicted in this story, though. And it's never something like I saw it like the Skeletor's army, but I just never thought like anything more of that. Joe, have you Thought anything more about that?
No, the crowd is the one thing I never did think about, except trying to nitpick apart, saying, "Hey, maybe is there other Cobra Khan or somebody up there just to be a dick?" But no, otherwise, no, I never thought of the crowd. I mean, I guess it's just, well, you figure it's an arena and gladiator shit, and people are just there to feast on it. And it wasn't really in my mind.
Maybe Skeletor's, got one of his lowly henchmen like working the gate and selling tickets to people.
No, hell, people love to watch gladiators in fights and bloodbaths and barbaric shit, and that's all I ever thought was it's just a crowd that come to see a great fight. And that's the perfect thing about this mini comic. As kids, yes, you'd like the battles. In the cartoons, we're not going to be seeing swords and blood and shit. But what was perfect about this is, again, it's nonstop action. That's what's great with what Larry Houston did with just all the physicality of the fists, the chopping, the tails, just the claw. I mean, everything just felt so intense about it. And I think that's why, I don't know if that's why it is my favorite, but it's like nonstop action. And also to show, yes, you don't need the main hero to be there to be the star and make a comic good. As you've seen, like we said, He-Man pops up towards the end, does a little pew-pew, and that's about it. But otherwise, I mean, it's Fisto fighting his ass off, who, well, this is, for me, is Whiplash's just greatest performance. God damn do I love Whiplash in this, because you do get the impression he was going to kill Fisto. It was going to be over. It was going to be the end. And yes, He-Man came at the last second to save the day, but just you could take almost every piece, every panel you're showing, and it looks like an amazing piece of art, how we were saying earlier about cardback art. Some comics you look at, there's not really anything going on in not only some of the panels, but tons of the pages to where they just look like they're standing there. They look blank. They look lazy. Every one of these, like, God damn, I'd love to have a poster of that getting hit, Fisto getting here, smashed, getting smashed to the ground, getting smashed there. It's, God damn, Larry Houston just did an incredible job. And this is, yes, the best Masters of the Universe mini comic they did. All the people that want to keep talking about those 4 mini comics, which we dissected one of those a little while back, you might want to think twice and look at this and really think what makes a great comic. And if you want to know, read this fucker here, because it's the best.
Like already in this, I'm kind of stuck right here on like his first opponent being Clawful. Immediately, like his shit's just getting tore up. Like his armor is just ripped right here, and he's like laying there trying to reach for that piece of wood, and I like how it just meet your doom. Like you can see it just playing out in animated form right before your eyes. Like I can just picture it right now, seeing it as an episode.
They could have got away with it. Yeah, because since they're not using swords, they could have got away with doing this in the cartoon. It would have been great.
Well, I was gonna say, like, it probably, I guess, would have worked better in that regard as being like an episode of 2000X. I guess it could have worked.
Oh my god! Sure. Yeah, seeing that version of Clawful, like, I'll give you a haircut, Fitzgerald.
Well, no. I'm saying, like, just in terms of the violent nature of it, they could have done that in 2000X. Yes. All that other shit, yeah, that would have ruined it, of course. But man, just him going through, because each page here is like a page to 2 pages of him taking on each of these villains. And, once it gets Clawful out of the way, boom, here comes Jitsu immediately. Like, you can see the exhaustion in Fisto's face when he's fighting Whiplash, just like, oh man, just more of this. I can't, how much more can I take? And then that's when we don't see it, but, like, obviously Stridor has run back off to grab He-Man and be like, hey, shit's going down, we need to go. And that's the best part about it. I've always been a fan of having side characters be accentuated in stories. I don't always have to see the main hero every single time. I like exploring other people's stories and seeing what they go through. Because if it's just He-Man, 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 He-Man all the time, it gets kind of boring, to be honest. So to see this was
and really that should be that what Nathan just said. That should be something in an animated series, in a comic book series, like a regular competently written series, or a regular competently written animated series. Where you could devote a whole episode to Fisto on an adventure trying to stop Jitsu from stealing a jewel or something like that, and that's the whole episode. Like, there is no He-Man, there is no Skeletor. It is strictly because Eternia, as we see in all these various mini comics, stories, and cartoons, it's a vast planet. There's so much shit going on just in the light hemisphere alone, let alone exploring what all is going on in the dark hemisphere, or on the north side of Eternia, or the south side of Eternia. It's just, there's so much stuff going on. And I just love this quartet of Triclops, Webstor, Clawful, and Jitsu. Like, can you put together a more muscle-bound, ass-kicking group than this quartet here? Like, I mean, I don't care who you insert, who else you could switch in and out. Like, this group, to me, is the ultimate group of ass-kickers. Like, as much as I love Ninjor and Too Bad and Blade, I see this quartet here. I mean, it just reeks of awesomeness, just all four of these guys. And I hate that Webstor is only in this mini comic for just a few panels, and then he's done. He doesn't show up in another mini comic until the Rock People to the Rescue. I don't think he's in another one, because I think the Rock People came out in '86. I think, drawn by Larry Houston. But I'm just so infatuated by this group. I would love to see this group used a lot more. I want to see Kevin draw this quartet of villains used in a piece of artwork. Kevin, hurry the hell up! Get that! Get your Kickstarter done so you can draw this for me, dude. I got to see more. Maybe I should get to Daniel and
have all these characters fighting Tyler in a gladiator arena.
Yeah, and make it look like I'm against the odds, and I'm really just going to kick all their asses, because I must pose, But that's something to wrestle with reference that people don't know what I'm talking about.
I think one thing too, and this maybe I'm speaking but the fact that He-Man uses a blaster here kind of shows me the desperation of trying to get him out of here. There's no theatrics with I'm gonna fight people with my sword. He's like, I have to take measures that I don't usually use to get out of this situation.
I can't remember if we asked Larry Houston that or not, but
it was brought up. But I think it was like Larry did. I don't think he had much of an answer for us. We'd have to go back and listen to the interview, or people can go back.
But because I guess the context is first. I mean, it's great to even see Stridor kicking ass, like when he's knocking out two of the villains earlier to go get He-Man. But when he comes and arrives in the arena, it's like a perfect combination of He-Man doing just a drive-by with that laser gun into the whole fucking Coliseum, and then Stridor just kicking the shit down and taking it home.
Can't you just hear the He-Man thing kick in as He-Man and Stridor leaps into the arena with He-Man, and then he just
the whole thing
blast, bam, just destroying the whole place.
It worked great. It's like that laser blaster just worked perfect for his entrance. The sword, I don't think, would have just had the same impact at all.
And it looks awesome, him shooting Whiplash, and the blast on Whiplash's bodies. He's taking it I mean, you see the impact of the blast. Like, this must have been and then the way that soldier in the stands next to Skeletor, the way his body lurks back, as if he almost could have broke the guy in two. Like, the blast was so impactful. Like, the way Larry draws it, which always stuck out to me as a kid, like the impact of it. But just talking about it now, that blaster probably was like putting a tranquilizer dart into an elephant with Whiplash, and then he shoots a human being in the head with it. Just to scare the piss out of Skeletor. You see the look of the fear on Skeletor and Evelyn's face. Holy shit,
can see,
he shot a guy in the head.
And you can see, on He-Man's face right here, when he's got the blaster held up and, the smoke's emanating from it. He seems really, really angry. So it's a nice side that he's like, all right, you know what? No sword. Drastic measures need to be taken.
No bullshit, man. I'm getting chills is hearing all of us, we're all just unleashing so much emotion and excitement for this. And I hope people who are listening to this now or whenever can get goosebumps. Just I'm so excited to be here talking to Nathan about this. It's something I never thought. I just didn't think was possible. Nathan is getting this as we're talking about it. And I mean, me and Joe, that's why I was working. Me and Joe have talked about this mini comic multiple times on the podcast. We've ranked it as our number one. We've discussed it. We've brought it up many times. We've talked about Larry Houston. But son of a bitch, it's so fucking awesome talking about this mini comic. I just,
Especially getting a new perspective, like you said, hearing what Nathan has to think about it.
Yeah,
He just read it today, and he feels as passionate about it as we do. It's like it tells it all of how great this mini comic is.
It's just, and I saw this here from JSP, and it kind of ties into what I said earlier. That's why Justice League Unlimited is perhaps one of the best superhero cartoons, because that's. Once they started exploring those other characters that weren't Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, we're getting like Booster Gold stories. We're getting
Green Arrow,
The Question. Like we're all over the place, spotlighting the greatness of these other characters and what they bring to the table. It was refreshing. It was nice, and that's exactly how I felt when I was reading this. This could easily be turned into an episode of the show. Well, I guess they could get away. Maybe not him shooting people in the face with the blaster, but definitely him shooting the wall. Like you could easily turn that into a Filmation episode. And just with Fisto right here, I fought hard, He-Man, but I could not defeat them all. He's just laying there beat all to shit. And He-Man's just like, it's okay. That, Nathan. It's all right, man.
What you just said there, Nathan, and reading that panel, do you guys see now why I get so passionate, and Tyler, when I get so pissed when people make idiotic fucking memes?
Oh, I know. Comic book resources, if you do a quick Google search, comic book resources, that asshole dipshit website is always linked to the mocking of this comic book, of this mini, and this particular panel here.
And you get people that think, that's why I hated seeing it when it wouldn't stop, because I would get people constantly saying, Joe, that really happened in a mini comic? Or the other people that would post, that's terrible to put in a mini comic for kids. I was like, because it never fucking happened. Fisto never said that. Here's the real thing. I hate that still goes around and people still believe it, because it's, like I said, it's a disservice to such an amazing comic. That it's a disservice to the best mini comic from Masters of the Universe. That's why I hate it, and I'll constantly champion for people to get rid of that fucking meme and quit talking about it. So, but yeah, this one ranked number 1. If you guys don't own this, do yourself a service and order it on fucking eBay. I mean, yes, it's in the big mini comic book as well that you can get from Dark Horse,
but you need to own a hard copy of this classic and put it in a frame or something like that.
Yeah. I think
you gotta just have
I think if I were to get one to physically own, it would be this one. I do have a stack of them. I know they're packed away somewhere, but I do have a stack of mini comics that I've obtained over the last few years. I was never big into, I know it sounds horrible, but into having the mini comics physically. I do prefer having the book, but if I don't already, if it's not stowed away somewhere, which in the next few weeks I'll be digging through every single toy that I still own. God. Ugh.
And that'll be probably 2 weeks if we can see what you find. Because like you said, this coming or next Sunday you'll be moving.
Well,
but yes,
I could, once I get internet at the new place, I'll film stuff, because I'm going to be going to my parents' storage building to collect all my other action figures that are still sitting out there. So maybe I'll do another one of those videos of me digging through stuff and seeing what all's in there. It's going to be a lot of starting lineups. I already know that much. So if you guys are into starting lineups, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, Nathan spoiled his shit. So now we're gonna pass it to you, the chat room. Any questions you have, whether it's mini comics, cartoon, action figures, toys, whatever, just fucking put them down here. We'll answer it now. And in the meantime, is there anything from a past episode or any questions you wanted to bring up that people said?
I will. But before we also get to that, do you guys want to address the thing of Revelations and Kevin Smith and what he said this past week about how we're 6 to 9 months away from a trailer, and he's seen parts or all of the first episode or something, and I'm just like, well, if they're already that far, why haven't we seen anything at all from it? No,
I'll be honest, until Grimbot mentioned something where he tagged me, I knew nothing about what was going on. I guess I just missed all the tweets or whatever happened. I really didn't understand the context of anything, I guess. I didn't know what was said exactly, because I'll be honest.
That was it.
Yeah.
What he did,
that was
that's
it?
all. Yeah, that was it.
He said that he's seen the first episode or some of it, and that a trailer would be coming, and what he guessed would be 6 to 9 months. And in my head, I'm like, well, if the animation and everything is there, why can't we see character designs and see what it looks like now? And I know that someone, I saw it on Facebook earlier, that someone had posted, like, we were shown 2000X in like January or February, and then the cartoon came out that August, and here we are. I know the pandemic might have a lot to play into that, and it might not at the end of the day, but if it does, I understand it. But for them to have that and to not share at least something, especially like at PowerCon or anything, like just nothing, then that's kind of a sign that they don't want to show anything now and have people shit all over it. I don't. It's a weird thing. I don't know
well, I think we can all say that, I mean, hell, the first Batman teaser dropped last weekend, and it's not going to be released till next October. Yeah. We're still talking well over a year away, and they put out a full scale teaser trailer. To not have an image of He-Man and Battle Cat, or an image of how Skeletor, just an image, a screenshot from the first episode, is not a very good way to not hype up your upcoming series. And the only thing that's coming out is Kevin Smith said they did a great job of recording their voice work. Well, what do you fucking do? Is he going to say Justin Long really? He kind of phoned in on his Roboto impression. I really don't know what we're going to make about that. Snoogans, like. It's just, how do you expect the fan base to get behind your show?
But I think that's part of it. Like, because if you release it and people don't like it, then you're automatically putting that stamp on it. I get the hesitation to it.
All right, but what's to prevent people in May, and he releases an image, and it's a very poor looking version of Skeletor, like a very unmenacing, unthreatening, and okay, well, obviously. I mean, if you feel confident about it, then you should be able to put something out, a teaser image of some kind, something that says this will pique their interest, And I don't know if the consensus with people who about this show are questionable. Because I don't read the Facebook pages or social media feeds or anything like that. I'm going from my own perspective, what me and Joe say. I've talked to a couple of people privately. They're not the most confident about it, but Netflix has also got a say in it. I think, I don't know to what extent. I'm hoping that look, the She-Ra show.
Which, by the way,
can you guys?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I do want to say.
That's okay. It's okay. Okay. I'm Joe Martin.
I do want to say really quick, if you guys didn't get a chance to check it out on YouTube, Cobra Kai on Netflix, please watch it. I watched like the first 5 episodes of the first season already again. I think this is like my 3rd or 4th time through. Please watch it. It's excellent. All right, go ahead, Tyler. You can continue.
No, I just kind of feel like it should be, if you're that confident in it, then they should release a screenshot, something. That's why it just makes him look like a snake oil salesman. He's just trying to sell you shit, and there's nothing else going on regarding He-Man, so they just report.
That would be the best time to do it, right? There's nothing else in conversation. Like, do something to make conversation, good or bad. You know, like get people talking about it.
But it's Kevin Smith. I mean, when has he done anything that was beneficial? Like, his movies don't make any money. They're not that respectable. I know Tusk did all right, but overall, it's not like he's
Tusk. Tusk is a weird fucking movie. And I don't want to say I hated it, but because I thought it was an interest.
I was kind of going by what you said, because when you told me, I'm like, I don't know.
No, I wouldn't recommend anybody watch it, because it's too fucking weird. And you know me, I don't mind bad movies and weird movies, but that was just too much.
Well, that's saying something. And Nathan sounds uncomfortable explaining to that, which when he told me about it, I'm like, I still don't want to see it.
And honestly, I like the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Okay, it didn't blow me away, but I felt good about it. Overall, I like the tone. In terms of stuff from last week on last week's show, it was mostly just comments, not much in the way of questions. It was just, I think someone reached out to Tyler, like, hey, can you do a commentary for this episode? And Tyler's like, yes, we will do that. But there were some questions earlier in the chat. Gavin the Nerd.
I did. I was given one question to ask you guys on the podcast here too. I had one of our listeners reach out to us and send me something too. So,
Gavin the Nerd asks, would you rather become Trapjaw or Mechaneck? That means you have to get injured like they both did.
Mechaneck. I gotta have both my arms, man. Like, I know how badass looking Trapjaw is, but gotta have both my hands. Plus, if you see what Mechaneck does in Disappearing Dragons, where his head can go ridiculously high, can see over great distances, and then just spin his whole body into like a damn tornado almost. Like, yeah, I'll go with Mechaneck. Plus, he sounds so cool. Like, he's got that really cool robotic voice. Not in the rest of the episodes. His voice sucks in the rest of them, but badass in Disappearing Dragons.
I guess I would go with Mechaneck too, because Trapjaw's just got he's got a lot going on. I don't know if Mechaneck might be worse. I'm thinking in terms of like getting rusty and stuff and having to like.
Well, that's why I feel like Trapjaw will like his jaw alone, and the weapons, like having to make sure that like Diamond Rays, like these weapons never fit right.
I think I could enjoy food more as Mechaneck.
Yeah,
I'll go with Mechaneck.
I eat a lot of crazy shit, so I think I'd have to go with Trapjaw. I could try so many more new fucking things.
He could eat rocks and things like that. Talk about being cheap.
Exactly. It's like, Jesus Christ, I don't have to buy food. I can actually see what lead and metal tastes like and eat anything with no fucking problems. But no, I'd say Trapjaw. Plus, especially if the arm was the transformation gimmick like in NYP, because I'd hate to be taking my gadgets off like in the old days. But no, I like Trapjaw. That would be fun to eat anything. So. Yeah.
And the second question from Gavin. Do you think a Motu Mortal Kombat crossover could work? Also, thank you, Joe, again, for answering my question on Messenger. You guys rock.
If he means figure forms, cool, but I wouldn't like the idea for like a cartoon or a comic. If that's what he meant, I wouldn't be into that.
I think it could work in like a crossover in terms of like a video game kind of thing. But if we're talking strictly like cartoon wise, I don't think it would work in that regard.
The only certain properties I think work as a crossover with He-Man, and as much as I adore Mortal Kombat as the definitive fighting game, especially Mortal Kombat 2. I can't picture Mortal Kombat crossing over. I mean, there's very few things like I have a hard time picturing Mortal Kombat crossing over with DC, even though it was fun playing that game. It's still a hard concept to grasp, like those characters crossing over with a lot of people. Like, I think we all think Street Fighter initially, because you kind of feel like that's the opposite side of Mortal Kombat is Street Fighter. So that would be the first one. But with any of these properties, I can't really picture Mortal Kombat to crossing over. Like, it's, even though like to see He-Man fight Goro or Kentaro or Motar, like some characters possible, but overall, I know you get Skeletor and Shang Tsung, but I mean, we think Mortal Kombat, we think about killing each other, like people ripping out spinal cords, tearing out hearts and stuff like that. It's not that I don't want to see He-Man like impale like various.
Well, they would do like they did with the DC game. I could see it like that, where it's like they have brutalities and not fatalities for those guys.
Yeah. I just it's hard for me to picture it. Me personally, I'm not gonna say it's a bad idea or something like that. It's just hard for me to envision it.
But thanks for the question, though, Gavin.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Joe, have you been keeping up with the questions in the chat room?
No, everything is scrambled on my thing right now, so you're going to have to ask him, because I was like, I lost fucking everything. I'm sorry, Nathan. Yeah, I was like, I don't know what the fuck happened in my chat. I must have hit the wrong thing. Nothing's going right now.
You could just say, I wasn't really paying attention, Nathan. I'm sorry.
That'd be a first, but I always usually look at it, but it's like, I don't know what the fuck just happened. I hit refresh, everything's confused. So, Nathan, whatever ones you could pick out of it before 11 o'clock, go ahead.
Adam Gabbard asks, what is, it's kind of like a two-part thing in terms of shirts. It was mostly kind of applied to Tyler, since he's the one that gets so many things from Redbubble. What is your favorite Motu?
TeePublic.
What? Well, you do Redbubble.
Both. I get it from both. I get stuff from both. I do.
What is your favorite Motu attire, like Motu shirt, and what is your favorite like non-Motu shirt?
I guess that I own would probably be, if not what I'm wearing here, the Jitsu Fisto fighting. I love the Cobra Khan one versus Battle Armor He-Man, but the Clamp Champ one, I because I'm such a Clamp Champ fanatic. So it's those. I mean, I rotate between those three a lot. because I love these Errol McCarthy battle pieces because I owned clothing like this as a child, and that's why I want to see more stuff like this. This is what 80s tees should be doing, not the silly nonsense they do. With He-Man, at least they do.
I actually photoshopped. I had to crop it because it didn't look right, but I should have posted it where I photoshopped that these puppies are sick shirt on a picture of you though, so it looks like you're wearing it.
Marvelous.
I need to post that.
Well, but yes, be sure that you do.
I will.
But my favorite non-He-Man tank top that I got is probably I got a whole bunch of good ones. Yeah. I'm missing G.I. Joe ones I love wearing. The Turtles.
It's a toughie.
It's a tough one because I get very specific with them. I don't just grab anything. It's got to be very unique and special. Yeah. I love. I got a Bionic 6 one with just the Bionic 6 logo on it. I wish I could get it on a different colored, like softer tank top, but I got a whole slew of them. I really do. It's because I have an appreciation. I mean, I could just keep ramming. There's a whole bunch.
Speaking of T-shirts, make sure you click the link down below and go to Joe's T-shirt shop and buy one of his shirts. Maybe the Fans of Power NWO shirt, like a couple of the wonderful people in the chat room have already done. I think my favorite.
Yeah, show your fandom to this podcast here. We've earned it.
And get that. Well, Joe, you took down that Clamp Champ one, right?
I can always put it
back up
because it's all redrawn.
Put it back up because that's.
Yeah, show your support for Clamp Champ. Now that's what I want to see too. Is people wearing that image and showing their support for Clamp Champ. God. The Clamp Champ's time has come here, people.
Fedmon said,
okay, next question.
Nathan, take Tyler with you when you go to the storage unit. No, because if there's anything badass in there, he's going to try to run away with it.
Yeah, we don't get to do too much figure shopping because Nathan tends to wander out when I'm still working. He picks up all the cool stuff.
I went out to Walmart today. They didn't have shit.
Yeah. So I just assume keep ordering, or if he happens to find it and there's an extra one that he can afford to pick up for me at the time, and I'll reimburse him, which he did for me on Friday, then we'll do that. But it's we don't get to do too much figure shopping, not like we used to. Just nothing to look for, really.
Let's see. Now I'm having to scroll because some people. Zen Brown said here, remember how long it took for DreamWorks to reveal Hordak? It feels like that all over again. So.
Oh yeah, like when they cut his balls off and made him a pussy. Thanks a lot, Noel.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Curtis Ackerman, what would be your guys' number one Fans of Power episode for us to rewatch next week? What's your personal favorite?
Ooh,
man,
I like that question.
And there's a lot that we had, of course, with the guests have always been fun, and I don't know if I want to steer to saying at least two, but I loved when we interviewed Mark and Rebecca Taylor and Larry Houston. It's like, if you guys never seen those interviews and you find out so much stuff from them both, they were just a pleasure to have on. Like I said, we're definitely going to have them back on again in the future, but I'd say those, they're just genuine, great, great people. So kind, so nice, but again, you find out a lot of stuff you never heard about, anywhere else. So I'd like to recommend episodes with, all three of them.
Yeah, I would say just, I don't know, just go back and cherry pick anything. Now, some of them you might have to go to fansofpower.com and check out the archive. I know Doug said he was going to put up those earlier ones, and I'll talk to him too and see if he wants me to just take the audio and start uploading them to this channel as well. That way it can be in wherever we can find it. I don't have a particular favorite because are there some weeks...
So many great ones. It seems like they get better and better. It's kind of hard to choose because we're always just having a blast. Seems like each week.
There are some that we've had that we've when we finished, all three of us were just kind of like, that sort of sucked a little bit. I don't know. I think individually, some like Joe's thought episodes were great, and I've walked away from them thinking like, we could have done better, I guess. And Tyler's felt the same way.
Joe's felt the same way.
Yeah, it kind of goes all around, but I don't know. I would just say just dig in, just go randomly start clicking on them and just give them a listen. I would recommend not watching any of the first 50. I can safely say that.
Yeah, you sure can.
I will say that for me personally, like the first interview we did with William Stout, was pretty groundbreaking, I thought, because he, revealed a lot more specific facts about the making of the film that weren't as well known.
Some never heard anywhere else. Some
yes,
don't,
yeah, and that's why, whether you like the movie or not, Curtis, you take you and your shitty golden disc of knowledge and get the hell out of here.
No, stick around.
Yeah, I am saying it here.
Oh, so, by the way, I want to ask him this, Curtis. Were you the guy last week that liked or disliked the episode and then took it back? I have to know if that was you.
Yeah, because we were wondering, I would crack this up. We got an immediate dislike. I was like, that had to be Curtis. And then the next day, I was like, hey, the dislike is gone. I wonder if it was Curtis. So yeah, let us know.
He's putting together his kill list.
Yeah, that was.
But William Starr confirmed that Snake Mountain is in the live-action film. That was something I was very proud about. But our interview with Larry was great. Mark and Rebecca. Our Anthony DeLongis interview where we sit down with Blade.
JSP had mentioned that. Anthony DeLongis, maybe.
Yeah, that was another, because we go into great details about his parts as I think so much more detailed. He really seemed to enjoy how much details me and Joe were throwing at him about the character of Blade and things that were going on the set as well.
Robbie London. Check out the Robbie London one.
That was so criminally under, and Joe just hid in the corner so he wouldn't be outed as not knowing jack shit about what to say about Robbie London. I'm going to shame you to this day, Joe, because you should have been there. He could have asked about Heart of a Giant, and he didn't.
You
just buried your head in the sand and waited for your fucking prom.
But
it's a little breakfast club for you. But yes, that Robbie London episode that me and Nathan did is criminally underviewed and underrated because
if you want to see Tyler get heartbroken, as JSP said about how Robbie London expressed how he wasn't a fan of Diamond Ray at Disappearance, go watch that episode.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see Tyler look just defeated and heartbroken?
Yeah, you people who hate my guts so damn much and think I'm just going to, lead a revolution of people who are going to turn into hate mongers against all things new and He-Man. I'm such an evil, bad guy. You can watch that episode and see me be disheartened live on the internet, or at least it was live then. We didn't go back and re-edit it. But, Robbie is the guy responsible for Diamond Ray, Donna Dragoon, a whole slew of great episodes and contributions to Master of the Universe as a staff writer. And I was really brokenhearted that people didn't watch that episode that much. I just was it was embarrassing to me, honestly, that people didn't watch that episode. It was just I'm sure a lot of people were just what? Robbie London's not a toy. I can't watch this. I'm going to go look at my butthole for an hour and a half.
I think it's because Joe wasn't there and you were on the show.
That's also because the cult, because I pictured Joe as just what's his name? From Temple of Doom. Marla Ram. Where Joe is comes out and has sacrificial rituals tearing people's hearts out, and all of his followers and that's just kind of how I feel like Joe's fan base is, and Joe didn't encourage anybody to come out and watch our interview because they're probably just watching him eat stuff.
It's because you were on there, Tyler. Don't worry about it.
I know, but that's something I wish people would go back and check out.
Go back and watch that. That is actually on the channel, or if anything, too, just go back and see the evolution of the show, how it's come in its live format from the days of Google Hangouts and Joe's camera looking like VHS.
Could you picture it being any worse than this? You think it's bad now? It was 10 times worse back then.
Joe's...
And Nathan, what was the first episode you were on, Nathan? Because you should tell people to watch that because you said you were a little weird about it.
I don't remember. There was the odd one that you guys brought me on, and then I wasn't on for a while, and then I just started becoming a regular thing. I don't remember the number on that. We'll have to figure that out and maybe post that. How about one more question? It is wrestling related, so automatically it appears.
I got to ask this question here too, so we'll
I'll ask the wrestling question, and we'll get to that last question that Tyler's got. Who would you want to feud with? Given a contract by the WWF, WWE, any era, who would you want to feud with?
I personally would love to either feud with. Yeah, it was going to be Perfect or DiBiase. That would be the heel I would want to like have a run with.
Again, great minds think alike. So
yeah, me and Joe could be a tag team going up against the Perfect Millionaires.
If I'm face, probably Jake the Snake. If I'm heel, probably Hogan, so I can be really rich. Or
yeah, Nathan be getting awesome pay. Nathan would only be a heel in classic WWF. Like I can't picture Nathan being anything else than being a heel.
If it was Attitude Era and I'm a heel, Steve Austin, so I can make a lot of money. If I'm a face, I don't know. Attitude Era was kind of weird in that regard. It was kind of quick and things didn't last so long. I'll be quick about it.
I think feuding with Jericho as a heel would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. He would own me on the mic, of course, because Jericho as a heel is better than Jericho as a face.
Damn. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get to the question that you had, Ty. Because Attitude Era is kind of tough in that regard.
All right. Our last question here comes from Wally Walt, one of our devoted listeners, and wanted to know if Skeletor, He-Man, She-Ra, Hordak, and King Hiss had been vanished to Third Earth, what would happen in Master of the Universe and Princess of Power? Kind of a wide question there. I immediately think that you probably see some temporary alliances between some of the evil factions. Probably the Snake Men, the Evil Warriors would probably still be teaming up. I don't see the Horde making alliances. I think the Great Rebellion would probably crumble temporarily. I think they'd probably have to vacate to Eternia, probably to get help, and then see if they can carry that over to Etheria. The Heroic Warriors would have to have a hero rise up. I don't see the responsibility of He-Man going to anybody else because He-Man's still around. He's just on Third Earth. So I like to say it's probably going to be a court, like a small group of leaders, like probably Team Man-at-Arms, Tila, Clan Champ, Fisto, leading the Heroic Warriors. It probably would be Evil Lynn leading the Evil Warriors, probably with a temporary alliance with King Hiss. Or maybe even King Hiss taking over and running the Evil Warriors temporarily. Oh, no, wait, I forgot. King Hiss is not there. I'm getting too damn
be
detailed
someone
here.
that would step up. I would see it going in a similar path like Homecoming. Honestly, I can see it being.
With King Hiss not being there, the Snake Men would probably ally themselves with the Evil Warriors. Yeah. I kind of feel like that would be like Cobra Khan would kind of be like the length. Or the chain and the link to kind of unite those two factions there.
Or I could even see Cobra Khan, since he's a real double crosser. I think that would be his opportune time to probably say, "Now I'm the leader of the Snake Men," to try to lead them.
I could even see Cobra Khan even battling for leadership of the Evil Warriors as well, because you look at how he's depicted in the Filmation and the most media. He's the most competently portrayed villain, I dare say, of all of Skeletor's Evil Warriors. Like, even though there are times where others are portrayed more completely than they are. Other times, Cobra Khan is consistently portrayed as a very menacing and very intelligent villain.
Yeah, I think the reason I put him for the Snake Men, because of, again, the double crossing, now finally leading his people what he believes, is because Evil Lynn, as I've always said, she's power hungry. She does anything she can to try to have that main power. Now with Skeletor, being gone, I see Evil Lynn definitely leading the Evil Warriors. Cobra Khan maybe going for the Snake Men. For the Heroic Warriors, I mean, yes, it's always going to be Man-at-Arms and Tila. Tila's the captain of the guard. She's led many things. She's very competent, so I could see them two being the main. But when it comes over to, like, let's say, the Horde in Etheria and the Great Rebellion, this would be a time to have somebody that was underused. Like, first, okay, I could see Queen Angela obviously trying to lead the Great Rebellion with everybody else still fighting the evil Horde, but this would be the opportune time for them to go after and find Maylog. Maylog is the one that once she turned human, she didn't want to join the Great Rebellion. Well, let me finish. She didn't want to join the Great Rebellion because she wanted to find out and see what the world's like. But she has the power of She-Ra still. So you'd have somebody that powerful and strong that could come back to help and aid while Queen Angela is still leading, but they need somebody super strong. This would be the time to have her join back. And as for the evil Horde, I mean, it's got to be Shadow Weaver. I mean, for me, it's always been Shadow Weaver. So, I mean, besides Hordak, I just see her leading anything because she's very competent, very good with what she does. She's not somebody that I think would be out in the battlefield commanding things. She's almost like she would sit back when things really need to be done. Of course she's going to pop up. But I don't see like that Catra leading over on the Evil Horde. I can't picture it. I can't picture Mantenna doing it. I can't even picture Grizzlor as much as...
I can picture Modulok leading the Horde.
He's very intelligent. No, you're right. Modulok is very intelligent. He could be somebody that does a lot of things, but for me, I would just put it at Shadow Weaver. But yeah, that's an interesting question. I like that, Wiley Walt. That was a very good question.
We didn't discuss too what the hell would happen on Third Earth, and it's God knows it'd be hell on Third Earth is what it would be.
Yeah, that'd be a whole other podcast topic. But all right,
Thank
guys.
you, Wiley. I appreciate that question, bud.
That is, I like that. Led to a lot of thinking. So
hey, remember how we weren't going to go 2 hours?
And we did. So now I'm going to say what I always say. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you are new to this channel, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell so you can always be notified when we go live. And until next time, which ain't going to be next week, have a powerful day.
I liked it better when it was Payless.
What is that? I didn't catch it. What?
He did it again.
Yeah, another Nathanism.
He said, I liked it better when it was Payless. So to paint this picture for you, we went to our local mall. As you go down towards the end, there used to, at the time, I think KB was still there, right? We still had KB in the arcade.
KB in the arcade was still in the mall,
so, down on one of these ends, like one of the anchor stores was a Peebles. To picture this, if you guys are staring straight ahead at the Peebles entrance, over to your right, in the corner was KB. Up from that was the arcade. I can't remember what it was named at the time.
Pocket Change, I think.
Pocket, something like that. And then right down from that used to be Payless Shoes. Well, any day anyway. We went into the mall, and we were going to KB, check out the toys. And we walked by, and Payless had been gone at this point, probably a month or so, maybe a little longer. We walk by, and there's like community theater going on in there. There's like a little stage. There's maybe about 15, 20 people watching this play. And me being a dick, and I'm like, why is there a play going on in the mall? And we stopped, and I turned and looked and yelled, I liked it better when it was Payless. And everyone stopped what they were doing and turned and looked at us, and we laughed and went to KB. To look for toys.
I remember I'm holding my gut, I'm shaking like a paint mixer on the way to the toy store. I could not stop laughing, and for years and years, just had to say, I liked it better when it was Payless. And just the look on those people turning around in their chairs and looking at
all
these
at once.
Yeah. But it's probably not funny to anybody.
It was a super dick move, but you got to think, like, how old were you? 18. We were 18.
We were out of high school at the time, just like maybe a year or so.
So we were like
18
years
wasn't
old.
Very long.
By the way, I want to stress that was almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah, we weren't nothing that harmed anybody, but Nathan just had a reputation for yelling out loud in the most random times, and God, especially if you knew it was going to make me laugh. I mean.
Because I didn't care. There was no filter back then. I was just like, what?
Yeah, he would start break dancing in public places, and he could never recreate. That's why I always felt like if there was anybody who could mimic Michael Jackson's moves, it would be Nathan, because Nathan was so animated, snapping his fingers, gliding on air, and just you're like, how the hell did he do that? He's like, I don't know, I just did it.
Song that was playing in front of Abercrombie and Finch, and I just started doing this dance, and Tyler thinks that I was just floating on air when I did it.
Yeah, me and Derek, my brother, both just saw Nathan like glide over air as he was making fun of the music comment out of Abercrombie and Finch. It was the most Michael Jackson thing I've ever seen anybody do.
I'm not that.
It was like moonwalking forward instead of backwards. It was forward. Like, I don't know how the hell he did it.
I don't either.
God,
I haven't been able to replicate it, and I couldn't now because I'm not as agile as I used to be.
I know Joe's like, I can moonwalk. I can picture Joe thinking he can moonwalk.
Yeah. Oh, I'd hate the show, but I could still do some shit. But it'd be weird seeing me do it with a mask. But yeah, I can still do that stuff. I can still